Most Selenium projects don't fail because of automation bugs. They fail because the project structure is bad. Tests break randomly, fixing one issues create multiple failures, and slowly teams stop trusting automation. So if your Selenium framework feels fragile, hard to maintain, or painful to scale, the problem is not Selenium, it's your folder structure. In this video, I will explain a real world Selenium project folder structure, why each section exists, the common mistake people make, their consequences, and how this structure fixes them. Now let's break this down section by section with real problems. Okay, so base package. What is a common mistake? People do WebDriver setup inside every test class. Okay, so they do all these setups in test class, before method, after method, and everything. So this results in code duplication. Okay, if one browser changes, it will break multiple tests, and your parallel execution becomes impossible. So why this base exists? This base package centralizes setups and tear down logic. Okay, test should never know how the browser is created. If your test class handles WebDriver setup, your framework is already weak. Second is factory method. Okay, so the common mistake is this new Chrome driver written in everywhere, and because of this, there will not be any cross browser testing will not be possible. The no grid CI/CD pane, all these things will be there. What this factory fixes? Driver factory controls browser creation from one place. So this is what enables parallel execution and scaling. Factories turn scripts into frameworks. Next is page object model. Okay, so this is also one of those common mistakes people make. They write locators directly inside their test classes. Okay, this is how they do it. This is not a correct way. Okay, if there's any change in UI, it will cause mass failures. Your test becomes unreadable, and your maintenance becomes a nightmare. So why page exists? Why this page object model exists, or this package exists? Because page object model separates your UI logic from your test logic. The test describes what to do, and page handles how it's done. One page equals one class. Okay, no exceptions. Then comes test package. The common mistake people make is they test doing setups, navigation, and validation, all these things in the test class only. Okay, but this is very hard to read, and this is very hard to debug. So new team members, let's say if they join, they will be scared to touch your tests. So instead, what should be done? That test should only validate behaviors. Okay, a good test reads like a plain English. If a test has setup logic, refactor it immediately. Okay, otherwise nobody will will think of touching it. They'll be scared of it. Then is utils package. So we copy paste weights and screenshot logic everywhere, and this will result in inconsistent weights, flaky tests, and bloated code. So what this utils does is this will reuse the helper logic. If you copy code more than twice, it belongs in util class. Okay, and utils support the frameworks; they don't control it. Next is listener package. So this is where most beginners framework completely fail, and because the common mistake they do is the reporting code they keep inside test classes, and they do manual screenshot handling. So this will result in messy tests, unreliable report, and your automation loses your credibility. So why this listener exists? Because this observes test case execution events. They handle test starts, they handle test success, failure, screenshot capture, reporting logic, retry logic, all without polluting your test code. Your test stays clean, and your report stays professional. So if reporting in logic is inside your test class, your framework is unfinished. You need to make sure that this gets separated. Now resource folder. So people they do hard code URL and credentials directly in the test. So if the environment changes, then that requires your code changes also. Means you need to touch the code always every time there's change in environment or in credentials or in URL. So there'll be security risk, there'll be pipeline failures, lots of problems will be there. So this resource file, it fixes that. Okay, your environment will be independent of your automation. You don't need to hard code your URL there, and your code should never change because the environment changes. So final takeaway is that this folder structure does not just organize files, it organizes your responsibility. So when responsibility is clear, your automation scales. If it isn't, your automation dies. So if you understand the structure, you are already thinking like a framework engineer, okay, not just a tester. So that's all for today. If this helped you, you like the video and subscribe. Okay, in next videos, I will show you how to build this framework step by step, including listeners, reports, and CI/CD integration. See you in the next one.